Hello world, this is Shruti Pandey, and today on itishruti, I cannot contain my excitement despite a sore throat. So, pardon me if you hear me weirdly today, but I have such amazing ladies who gave me their time. We are in different time zones, and yet we are managing to be together to make this happen for all of you. So, first of all, thank you so much, Niranjani, and thank you so much, Prissy, for giving me your time today. It really means a lot to me.
Really, really
Thank you,
excited to be
Shruti.
here, Shruti.
So, because I have you too, I have created my questions in such a way which I hope were probably asked or not asked to you before, but people will get a chance to, get their entire query list answered in one go. And though this is a round table, it doesn't mean that we are supposed to fight. I know you guys won't do that, but I'm just laying the ground rule as a good human, nothing else. So it's not a debate or a fight. You just have to, how roundtable goes. But for people listening, also, they need to understand what a roundtable is. And in whatever order you both feel like going first, you can do that. It's general conversation with two amazing ladies today. So let me know if you have any queries, or I can just start with my questions.
I'm
No,
good. We
go
can
ahead.
start off.
You both are the cutest, seriously. So my first question for you is yeah, seriously, it's weird. You both are so cute that I can just sit here and just look at you and be happy. And I'm like, okay, fellow testers. They know my pain. I understand their pain. Something like that. It's surreal, really. So my first question for you is how easy or difficult is getting a job or a testing job outside of India? Or if this seems too complicated, how the managers complicate a thing, let me put it very straightforwardly. How do I get a job in testing outside of India? Because you both have done some things and you are where you are. I thought it's the best thing to ask you both together.
Sure. You want to go ahead, Shruti, or?
You start off, Niranjani. I'll
Okay,
follow you then.
sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think in terms of testing, there's a lot of responsibilities that come with a tester, as in, they expect you to understand the product. And in addition to that, you're also expected to know some automation. Um, like you can't just say, hey, this is not my job. I think that's the key here. So having a good knowledge of programming, at least be able to do some amount of automation, not just be focused on manual testing alone is critical. And apart from that, I would say be very vocal. Um, talk to people. Sometimes, you may not know something. Trying to do it yourself is not the right way to do it. Like if you're stuck, obviously ask for help, talk to people. Like try to understand the product from different dimensions, not just from your engineers, but also talk to the product manager, the program managers, and like try to get different dimensions about the same product. And um, be able to voice your opinion at some point if you realize, hey, this seems like something is wrong. And instead of you trying to pound your head, trying to figure out, I don't understand why this is wrong, just, talk to your peers or talk to other people within the company, outside of the company. Sometimes that helps because I think in my experience, I felt like the moment I started speaking at conferences, attending conferences, I mean, before even speaking, attending conferences, I realized there are so many people out there in a very similar situation. And the other thing is when it comes to blogging or even speaking at conferences, I think initially people feel like, hey, I don't think this is a major problem other people would have felt. But in reality, it's completely different because everybody is in a different situation. They come across different problems, they handle it differently. But when you blog about it or when you talk about it, you will hear the audience resonating with you because it's just not you. So it's good to have a community. I think testing has so many good communities. This Ministry of Testing, there's so many communities that are very popular, and there are a lot of people actively engaged. It's good to be part of these communities because that help you to find your tribe. That's the key here. The moment you find your tribe, you realize, I'm just not alone in this, and you try to understand what other people are going through. That gives you a perspective, and it helps you to carve out your journey in testing.
Wow, that's so beautiful. What do you have to say about this, Prissy? What has your experience been like?
Yeah, so whenever we talk about moving to another country, like out of India, right, the first thing you know about the cultural shock, like we Indians face when we move out of country, because even in India, like within kilometers, we have multiple customs and multiple languages, right? That's the beauty of India, which we call it as. So first thing is about when you move out of a country, the first thing which you will face is like the cultural shock. If you are searching a job as through some agency or some consultancy, process is totally different. Like you have to do it all yourself. The interview process will be tough. Sometimes you have to filter out whether the agencies are the genuine ones, the fake ones. The process will be very tougher. But
Mm.
in few cases, some people are lucky enough to travel as a dependent. Like if your spouse is getting an opportunity, either your wife or husband, if they are getting an opportunity, you get to travel along with them. And right now, even in many of the countries, the women who travel as a dependent don't want to sit idle. They are just giving it a try. Either it is testing, or it is product management, or even if it is like a teaching job. You'll not believe many teachers are there in Malaysia, like who are travel from India, because we Indians are good at everything, right? I'm not just boasting, but we are multitasking people, and we can manage many stuff. So when it comes to that, I have seen people who have really grown in multiple different fields, not just with testing and all those things. Specifically with testing, when I moved in 2018 December, so I started my job search from 2019, Shruti. It was very hard. That time I really had no experience with Selenium, with Java. But even with all that, and I had around like 7 years of testing experience. I'm not just a beginner, but it was very hard. It was very hard. Like what I had to go through in my journey, you will not believe. And that too with a kid after a maternity break. Imagine how the society will treat me. And sometimes even I have shared some experiences, like where an interview is happening but there is no one to take care, and my kid was constantly crying because my husband has to go to office, because that time it was like the usual day. There is no permission to work from home and all. Like he was working for a banking sector, so he has to travel to office every day. I thought I scheduled the time because that was his routine sleeping time. But who knows, right? Kids are very smart. They can sense everything what's happening at home. So he was awake and he was continuously crying. So I couldn't crack that interview. And the interviewer, the way that he handled me, right? That was the worst thing which I can never forget in my life. So why if you can't manage this, like why the hell you're like you're applying for this job and all those things. So I thought like that was something which hit me very badly, Shruti. You will not believe. So after the maternity, the interviews and the pain points that I was going through, because I know that it doesn't mean that I am not enough qualified and all that, because once I'm given a chance, I know how I can prove, right? But I was not given an enough opportunity. It was a very hard place, and that is where finally I landed up my job in Millennium. So that was a very crucial part. It was around 6 months, plus 6 plus months, but the mental and the financial trauma that we went through as a family, right? That was very hard. And being an independent woman, like the salary being credited every month, and when you don't have the salary at the month, like the feeling that you have, that you cannot explain, and not everyone could understand also, right? I know that because they might say it's not about your husband's money, or it's not about your money, it's your family money. I totally agree. But I have some problem, like where I'm used to this habit for all these
It's
seven
called
years.
self-respect. It's not problem. Okay. It's
Exactly,
it's
you're
either
right, you're right.
dignity or
You put it
Exactly.
right way.
self-respect. It's not a problem.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. You put it right way. You put it right way, because it's not about like
No.
how much I'm earning, but there is some amount like I was getting as my salary, and when it was missing, as you said, like that started impacting my self confidence as well. That had an impact. But luckily, like it depends upon your partner, right? We had we had to sit and talk over this, and finally like we were able to get through that part. And so that was one of the toughest phase and also the best learning phase that I had in life. So that is where I realized the importance of personal branding, like especially women, right? We should talk more about personal branding, and we should have more visibility. You might have seen, especially like I love all the pep talks that Priyanka Chopra gives. You might have seen all of her talks. That I love the way she talks, like everything she talks, like you will be literally watching, like on everything will be an ah moment. Oh my god, wow factor, wow, she put it right. So everything I really love that woman. So every time I feel down, I feel low, Instagram will suggest me some Priyanka Chopra sing. I like, oh my god. So the internet is also helping me in some way. So the universe knows what I need to hear right now, right? So that was a phase, and that is where I started building my brand. And I realized, like, either you travel to any other country, it doesn't mean like Asia, Europe, or US, right? Whatever country, I believe, irrespective of all the things like people face about this cultural language problems, and of course food, like how much it is important for Indians. And along with this, you have to cope up with the weather. After all these things, you have to learn the tools and technology, and you have to accommodate with the entire team. So I would say it's not tough, it's not easy, but if you have a plan and if you have a will to do it right, any country, that if you can crack it. And I always strongly believe, like, I believe even in like if you hear about a new country, like a very small country, Malta is one of the smallest country in Europe, and even there you can see one of the Indian living and putting some vlogs, like how to survive in Malta, how to get the Indian groceries in Malta. Like they'll be putting some videos, and that'll be cracking you up. See, so that is something like it's not about the place right now, and it's not about your testing career. So level up your skills, and as Niranjani mentioned, like automation is really preferred right now. It's not just about your testing knowledge, but at the same time you have to be strong in your testing basics and the principles, like you have to develop your testing principles, and along with that your automation skills, and then finally your communication skills, like as she said, right? You have to speak up for yourself, and when you travel out of country, if you are being so feeble, you definitely will suffer so much. So you have to speak up for yourself in all these things. So that's where you will not believe me. So till now I started mentoring, especially to women who moved as a dependent to other countries, or who's trying to get a job after a maternity break. Because I can relate, right? Everything, the pain. So I'm not literally like helping them to find some job, or but I'll always be a kind of cheerleader for them. I know, like, this is just a phase. It'll just go through. That's it. So this is what I'm currently doing.
I'm not sure if this would sound right, but I think when you have been in a particular situation, whatever that might be, pregnancy, some medical situation at family, personal emergency, whatever that might be, I think when you've seen that alone, you don't want others to be alone in that situation.
Mm,
Even if people ask or don't ask, you would probably be pestering them and you'll be like, oh my God, why am I trying so hard? But I totally get what you said. And while creating this question, because I see so many friends in India, right, who are like,
mm,
I want to get that visa. The biggest problem they see or they call out
mm,
is the visa thing. But both of you talked about actual things which will start once they
mm,
get there, wherever they want to get,
mm,
right? So this was so perfect and beautiful. I'm not even sure what more to add or not add, because you guys nailed it to the brim, and there are so many things to take care of when you're moving as a dependent, as a MBA graduate, this, that, whatever that might be. So I think it totally makes sense what you shared with me, and I'm sorry if the cute adjective that I used for you guys came out in any wrong way. It was in only good sense, because the way you guys are answering, it is like dripping with honesty. Everything, who shares all these things with everybody? Why you both have mentioned it, blogged it, talked about it at so many forums, yet here you are sharing everything so honestly and being yourself, being vulnerable. So again, thank you so much. This means a lot to me, and I'm pretty sure if there are dependent spouses somewhere in other country, it would help them, it would resonate with what they are going through. So thank you. And moving on to second question, which I have for you, because you guys are experts in testing also. It's not just about, being a mother, being a working woman outside of India, etc., etc. But you guys are good at what you do. So I want to understand, and this is like my favorite question because I feel we are not creating or innovating enough. I'm just saying this out loud because that is my own problem with technology these days. Like I understand there's chat GPT, AI, etc., etc., but I think a lot of this was there and we are not doing something new. Which is why my second question, do you think there is any new scope or hope in testing in 2024? Or if you want to just categorize it to AI testing, sorry, API testing, because you both are experts in that area also. So, testing in general, if you want to cover that, or just API, given our time constraint also. So, whatever you feel comfortable, you guys can just shoot off your answers.
I think maybe we can split it up. Niranjani, if you're comfortable, you can pick up any part, Niranjani, and I'll pick the next one, maybe.
Okay.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just going to talk about testing in general, as in AI in testing. Um,
mm,
I think in off late, we've been trying to incorporate some kind of ML libraries into our uh, what do you call it, the overall CI/CD pipeline, where we want to start analyzing test results and
mm,
be more. What's the right word here? Be more intelligent about, how can we optimize our time better, because we felt like we're spending too much time in fixing failures, and how can we be more. I think this is an ongoing thing, like you said, Shruti. It's not like it's something new. This has been happening. It's just that off late there's a lot of focus on AI and ML, so that's probably why everybody wants to get on the bandwagon at some point. And yeah, we've been doing something similar, basically trying to incorporate ML libraries, and even while coding, right? These days, I think our IDEs have come up with this code whisperer like tools. I'm sure each IDE will have its own tool. So it basically helps you to create those stubs. Like for example, those getter and setter methods. You don't have to do it the moment it sees like, hey, you're trying to create a new class here, and you're trying to define. Then it automatically prompts you like, hey, should I? I mean, here is your getter and setter method. So I think these are very good tools that help you to get better. Not just, I'm not saying it helps you to get better at programming, but it's more like makes your job a little more easier. It prompts you so you don't forget. And then in terms of formatting and everything, it is super helpful to have these tools as part of your life. And I think it's high time we all get on the bandwagon and just go with it, like learn it, rather than say like, hey, what if these tools take away my job? I think we've cribbed about it enough, so now it's better we learn and we understand and see how can I incorporate this into my daily testing routine in some way, right? Again, the um, the products that I'm currently working on is not related to web or API. So obviously I can't use what do you call uh, all of these AI visual tools that are coming up. So I was trying to see how else can I incorporate, how else can I have my team look into these ML tools, and then I realized, yeah, at the end of the day, all of us automate our tests and we run it as part of CI/CD pipeline. So at that point, it's always helpful to leverage these libraries to analyze these results. And I even came across another discussion where someone mentioned OpenAI's APIs can also be leveraged to analyze your test results. So that's another new thing that I wasn't aware of. So I'm trying to look into it to see if my team can leverage it. But again, at the end of the day, it's a lot of learning. I don't think there's one tool that I can just say, hey, use this tool and it solves your problem. I think there are a plethora of tools at this point, and trying to figure out which one fits your use case is the biggest challenge that I'm facing because everybody is every day coming up with a new tool
mm,
that they open sourced, or they're using the tool in a different way. So learning about it and trying to see what fits into our current use case is the current challenge. That's that is what I would say. And yeah, again, like Priscilla mentioned earlier, right? Learning is the key here. Like always keep upskilling yourself. You never know, whatever tool you used yesterday may not be the right fit in a couple of days or a couple of months time frame, just because there's something else way more powerful. Um, yeah.
You know, it makes my heart swell with pride and happiness that this is the reason why probably you're one of the industry leaders, right? You while answering this question, you mentioned about I'm still learning and I didn't know this. You you don't find such people in the market anymore, right? I mean, everybody's like, oh, I already know this. Air, this was invented like this. I'm just giving a lame example, but I hope you get the point. And it's so humbling, and your modesty is so precious because yeah, it's all about learning. And you know, when you mentioned about IDE, and if Eclipse wasn't making us lazier earlier, we are getting on to other things. What hurts me the most is even today, if there are automation interviews, we'll be stuck on petty things rather than thinking about, okay, how I
Mhm.
need to automate this, you know.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's just the India thing or if it happens at your place.
No, that's a good point. Seriously. I mean, I think even in interviews, people just use Google Docs sometimes. And I'm like, why are we wasting time on this, right? We should ideally start leveraging these IDEs that have AI integrated tools. So at least people think beyond formatting and think just start be able to focus only on the logic. I think that would solve for a lot of these challenges. And at least, see, at the end of the day, if your IDE can prompt you to write better code, all you need to do is just think of your logic. That's pretty much it. That is all is needed. I think that will make even interviewing way better. That's a good point. That's a good point you brought up, Shruti.
Exactly.
This
So
answer.
that's at least after this, right? People will stop asking questions about like write a program on Fibonacci series. I'm not a mathematician. I literally hate maths. I from my childhood I have a great allergy towards mathematics. I'm a science student, so I'm good at logical thinking. I'm good at science, but if you ask me a simple mathematical question, I'm done. Like you will say, Priscilla, are you this dumb? So it's me, but I'm okay. I'm okay in agreeing that. So if you ask a good logical thinker and an analytical thinker to program them about Fibonacci series, I don't think that that makes sense, right? So as Niranjani mentioned, like give them a scenario, give them everything. Even right now the exam patterns are changing in many schools. I'm still hearing scary stories like they are allowing to write with the books, like your exams are allowed with the books, right? So what it is mean, like you should have a thinking process, like you have to train your brain. Even my 6-year-old is having the books. In most of the questions, like it'll be asked like, okay, so Carrie has 6 chocolates and she is giving three to this so and so person. And the answer is why. Like they'll not ask what is the answer. Why? Reasoning. So they are like even from the childhood, like we have to improvise on the reasoning, right? So
Mhm, mhm,
that's the major important part. So even I was a bad interviewer. I should agree that. But right now, when I have formatted most of the things towards my interview, and I'll always check like even if you Google the code, you should be smart enough to edit or tweak based on your needs. That is what I'm going to see on you. So because
exactly.
everything is available on Google, like my six
Yeah,
year old
yeah.
is asking everything to Alexa. I cannot, if I ask him to say like learn how to see time in this clock, he is asking me why should I learn, because I have my digital watch, right? So why should I learn all these analog time? So you but I
It's
forced him
fair
like some
question.
things. Yeah, fair question. But I told him like it's okay. But so in some places I have seen in some
Already
buildings,
utilizing
I'm still seeing the
automation.
analog
He's
clocks.
already utilizing automation. He's like, this is already automated. Why am I wasting
Automated.
so much
Exactly.
time?
But I said like fortunately like I don't have a digital clock at home. I'm still a old fashioned Indian. I still have an analog watch. There is no other way. So you have to learn this. But still he keeps on asking Alexa, hey Alexa, what is the time? Like, but these people are used to some things. Of course I'm not encouraging like all these things are good. Like some things they have to learn in a old tradition way as well. But as Niranjani mentioned, when there is an opportunity that the IDE is capable of helping you, like try to see. So that is why, as she mentioned, like you should have the coding knowledge first. Only then you'll be able to validate what that ID is suggesting is right or wrong, right?
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
that's the base here.
Mhm.
Correct. Do you have to add on to the API part also? Like, do you
Yeah.
see you
Sure,
have
sure, Shruti. I'll just keep it short.
this?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So when it comes to API testing, like I'm in total love with this API testing and Postman. You know much about me, right? So I know that this journey started 4 years back. But the main point here is like right now, I'm still thinking like many organizations have traveled a long way in API testing, but still I'm getting questions from many of the people like, how do I convince my company to do API testing? They are still focused on front end testing. They wanted to automate the end to end, but they are not focusing and they're not investing time on API testing. So this is one basic question which I'm getting. I'm still thinking like people are developing right now. We have to move from the functional part and we have to focus on the security and performance aspects. But still, I'm getting questions where the organizations are uh, very finding it very hard to adopt it even in the functional level. So that is one thing organizations should think about it. I'm still educating people where I'm not telling UI automation is bad. If you go and invest more of your time in API automation, you can focus more on the front end automation in the user aspect things, like not about like your functionality, because most of the defects you can capture in the API level itself. So you can more focus more on the user experience level when you do your front end automation. So that is my point. And security and performance is another trend, Shruti, when it comes to API. So as a tester, I cannot say like I'm not a performance expert or I'm not a security expert. There are many tools which can help me to easily get on board with the performance and security testing for API. So we have to think more about that. And AI is everywhere, and AI is into API testing as well. So where it is helping us to generate some test cases. So when you're strong in your basics, I think again you can validate those test cases whether they make sense for your test automation suite or not.
You know, I just this morning was having this doubt and self doubt. You just keep on validating yourself. I think it's the biggest problem with Indian women. We are trained to be so perfect that, yeah, both of you smile, so you understand my problem. Okay, this is a problem, this is a defect. I know. So this kills me, the thought, which is why I explained my premise of asking this question. And you both validated it so amazingly, because at one point we are talking about, okay, there are AIs which can, there are IDEs which can help us generate something, but then we are like, oh no, why? While interviewing, I want you to write everything from a getter, setter, whatever. And then at the other point, when I became a tester, I mean, I was put into testing, right? So I never segregated in my head that security is different, this is different, boundary analysis is different. Everything is testing to me, and API is a part of it. And again, I think it's about basics. The biggest problem about innovation is so many people in the world, I'm sorry but not sorry, are not yet, like you mentioned, people are asking you about how do I get API testing. If we don't even start, how can we innovate to another next level? I think it's such a basic problem, and I'm happy that there are people like you both who raise these concerns and voice up for other people, because it is true, right? Until unless we start with the basic, how can we innovate to something another level? And both of you answered it so beautifully that I'm like, okay, thank God I'm not as crazy when I'm thinking and fighting these things and trying to say, okay, we are not doing things in the right way. So I don't know about others, but thank you both. Really, it feels so nice that, okay, you're not the only one who is fighting that battle, right? And not thinking that thing alone. So let me ask you both a final question. What is your advice for testers who are listening to you? I mean, until now, you guys have already given a very nice framework and layout and everything. But in case there is something left which you feel like, anything in general, whatever advice from both of you, I'm pretty sure it would mean a lot to them.
Again, I think I can't emphasize enough on upskilling yourself or keeping yourself updated in whatever way possible. And a shameless plug here would be we have a DevOps, AI, and Beyond book club where we meet once a month. So Tristan and I are running this club. We've been doing this for 3 years now, and we renamed ourselves to DevOps AI and beyond. Previously, it was just DevOps, and we realized, hey, it's high time we get on the bandwagon and say, hey, let's embrace AI and all the changes that it brings. Again, our idea is to learn. Let's learn what is out there, right? Just not focus on. Um, let's see how AI can help us going forward in our job. So yeah, we pick up a book and we read it and then we discuss about it at the end of the month. So in whatever way possible, I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. This is just one of the ways that we both are book lovers, so we felt like, hey, this is something we enjoy doing. So similarly, whatever works, right? Sometimes people love attending conferences and they realize they're learning a lot more there. So whatever works for you, but make sure you're upskilling yourself in some way or the other. That's critical.
Makes sense. You, Prissy?
Okay, I'll go with the first thing. Of course, you have to be a good communicator because like starting from your requirements till the defects and reports, you should know how to communicate all of them to your stakeholders. And based on my recent experiences, I have personally felt like I'm still seeing most of the places like the discipline is missing. I strongly believe testers are the most disciplined ones, and I wanted to be in that way because I am from a waterfall era kind of person. Like I didn't start when it was an agile thing. So when I started, for 1 year I have been working on the same project because we'll write the test cases, 6 months we'll be writing on that, and then finally 2 3 months we'll be executing. So I was from that era. So I strongly believe people should have some basic principles. Shruti, maybe just an example where I would quote like defect retesting is of a topmost priority. When there is defect retesting is pending for a so long thing, I personally take it to my heart like, oh my God, this defect has been pending for a long time. I should either retest it or at least I should add a latest comment to it, right? I'm responsible for that. When a defect is assigned to me, I take it very personal. But I'm not seeing these kind of disciplines nowadays. Like when a task is assigned to you, like I always love or I expect people to provide an interim update. Whether you work on it or you don't work on it, or whether you couldn't work on it, or whether it's halfway, always have the habit of updating people, like an interim status. That gives a kind of projection about like how testers are working in your team. So uh, it's about like the respect is all about like how you work. So don't just go out and say like testers are not being respected. First do your homework, learn it, and you have to be well prepared person in that room, because starting with a product owner, you have your PAs, your developers, and all the stakeholders are sitting. So only based on your behavior they will judge whether this tester has to be respected or not. So not just because you're a tester, they cannot include you in all meetings. You have to prove. I know this is hard for tester because it has to be given, of course. I know, like other stakeholders, like we have to be given that. But as you know, like if you're not given the place in the table, like you should earn it, right? You should earn it. So in that case, I am always seeing that discipline is always missing. So testers has to learn about like all these disciplines and the testing basics. Don't just say me when I'm hiring for an interview, like I started as an automation tester and I have 2 years of experience. Okay, I understand that, but you should have some basics of testing. You should know how a defect life cycle is, right? I know like right now we have fancy terms for every defect life cycle based on the organizations and based on the tools, but that's fine. But you should know the basics of testing. You should know what is regression testing. And because I have seen people who doesn't know a difference between sanity and regression. If you're not strong enough in your concept, don't expect respect. Don't expect respect from the other people as well. So it's all with you. You have to start off. And as Niranjani mentioned, yeah, of course, upskilling is something that you can never stop. I know that is a never ending process for testers. If you ask a developer who is working in Java and if you ask him to learn JavaScript, he might not be that flexible. But if you ask a tester who was working with Selenium with Java, if he has to learn JavaScript for Postman or for Cypress or Playwright, whatever it is, that person can learn very fast. So see, so the testers are the very smartest creatures in the world. But we are underestimating ourselves. We are so much underestimating ourselves. We are the so much adaptable person. So that's why I always say learn your testing basics, keep up your communication skills. The discipline is much more important, and keep your tester mindset just always open, and just be polite. Speaking up doesn't mean being rude, right? So there is a mild difference between being rude and speaking up for yourself. So I always say the choice of words matters a lot, and your when it comes to communication itself, yeah, I'm just summing it up. Your interim skills, your email communication, everything matters a lot. So just always keep people updated. Just don't keep them waiting as if there is an important blood test report is coming and they have to wait for a longer time. Just don't do that. Always keep them and just update them. This is what is happening. This is what is not happening. Just keep them updated. So all these qualities together will show you as a better tester. So you can prove yourself wherever you go. I think these are the things that came to
To
my mind, right?
sum this up without adding to anything what they said, they said it off all on our faces, people or testers. And I think it's high time that it's about the majority of a community. If we as community are not being disciplined enough, there's no respect, and then only one or two or three people who are trying to do the best. It's difficult. If all of us want respect, it's not just for me or her, but it's for all of us. So if we can just buckle up and do what we are doing in the right way, upskilling, everything will come into picture. I'm sorry, chota muh badi baat. I mean, yeah, I just felt like adding this, but it's so important whatever they said. And again, I can't thank you enough, both of you, for giving me your time on a weekday and difficult time zones and managing an overlap. But thank you so much. This conversation, this roundtable means a lot to me, really. Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Shruti. And it's
Yeah.
good seeing you, Priscilla, after a while.
Yeah. Me too, Niranjani. Thank you so much, Shruti. I know that you're doing a great work for this community. And this podcast, even I believe that it reaches many people who might
Mhm.
need it to hear it. And thank you so much for your time as well. And for your time as well, Niranjani. Thank you so much. And
Mhm.
it's always been fun. And you don't need to be sorry for calling us cute. Just friends. So whatever way that you want to call us, you
Exactly.
are feel free to call us. Okay. So no judgments here. Okay. So even I believe I want people who are watching us should also be with that open mind. I don't just come up and watch this podcast with no judgments, and only then you'll enjoy to the core. Maybe you can cut this part and put it in the front so that